The Michael Tillinger Zimbabwe Circle video I released the other day, I produced it over 5 minutes and broke it down really quickly for people with a short attention span. This is what I put out 3 years ago. There's more information in this, yeah. If you've not seen it before, it is well worth watching, and if you have seen it before, then maybe you want to sit through it again, because I was the first person, just like anything else I put out here, the first person to be asking real questions on some of this stuff, yeah, which gets you nowhere, does it, in this business? Truth is not wanted. You have to talk out of your ass, to be doing well in this scene. But anyway, I will get more into that in the next release.
These sites in South Africa, the millions upon millions of stone circles of all different shapes and sizes. I get into the video. It's the last 5 minutes where I answer my question on what I believe 100%, even to this day, 5 years on since I put out that first initial video, the only video where I covered this. My feelings have not changed, in fact they've only strengthened. So we're looking at the work of Michael Tillinger, who is based in South Africa, and many of you will know he looks at these African circles. He says that there are literally tens of millions out there. That needs explaining. His main artifact that he looks at is this site here. It's called Adam's Calendar. I suppose he's named it that. And the sun is meant to cast a shadow on one of these rocks that's in the ground. And he bases all that around these Anunnaki, these gods, space aliens that were meant to come down and just shoved rough rocks in the ground. It's ridiculous when you think about it. I don't think the guy will agree with his work that he knocked out a decade ago. And he based a lot of that information off this guy who is called Credo Mutwa, and he's a South African, right? Whether or not that artifact around his neck is real, I don't think it is, obviously, because the guy has to be a fake to have not mentioned what I'm going to point out towards the end of this video. But Michael Tillinger bases a lot of this technology off the things that I'm always debunking here, because until you understand that everything is petrified, solidified, then you're going to get nowhere in this research anymore, because he bases all this around something called Caesar technology, that they were lifting these stones, putting these pointed rocks inside these circles and pointing them at things. You can imagine. I will say, just so I'm presenting both sides, that he was meant to have gone through an airport at some point and the alarm went off. He was carrying one of these in his suitcase. It was meant to have shut the entire system down. They opened his case, he had one of these stones inside. So whether or not that is just a natural phenomenon of the shape of these round rocks, because this stuff is now a rock called horsefelt and it rings like a bell. I think it's some type of petrified wood, something that's turned into what it is now. But he reckons that these circles were created by throwing a load of ash, fire ash, on the ground where these ley lines seem to connect at these nodal points, and just leave them overnight, and they would create these shapes, and then they would build these circles in the shapes that were left in the ash, right? So there, I've presented both sides for you. I will show you some images from a site that he calls Enki's lab, and then we'll move on. Anyway, the site that we've just been looking at there that he called Enki's lab, where the Adam human was meant to have been made, mixing clay into some bottles. Okay, I've already said I don't think he believes that anymore. But these sites, these circles, are the main ones that I'm looking at here. The site we just looked at was probably built with some type of mixture as bricks, right? These things, if you look at it, it does really look like some type of petrified wood. Whether or not it's being hit with clay, I don't want to get into it. Just look at it. It's either mud rock or some type of petrified wood. It will have been made something similar to what I'm showing here. Right, we're moving on to the circles that spread all over South Africa. And what really got me looking at this again, because I know this is a sacred cow to a lot of people, and why I have kept away from this site, just like I wanted to keep away from the sites in Israel before I made that video called Biblical Archaeology and Men in Rags. This site here, this imprint, because that's what it is, I showed you 3, and it is absolutely 100% an imprint of a tent, a huge, very large tent. You can see as it collapsed, you can see the folds near the doorway there and where the pegs went in all the way around it. That's all it is. I showed about 3 of these, and I've just recently made a video on circles in England. Now those ones are different again. This one here was one of the main ones. I didn't point this out here. You can see how it was a circular structure, a roundhouse, and it had an open top roof. Everything's turned into mud rock and petrified wood, but what I have circled there is where the main supports. You've got the beams that run all the way around the edge, right, that are now standing stones, and you can see where there are lines that I've circled. They are the main supports of what held the roof up, and it's what put me onto this here, which is a circle from South Africa. Turns out that it's something else.